You're not tired. You're not overworked. You're addicted to comfort. Every time you scroll instead of move, every time you click instead of build, you're feeding a system designed to keep you weak. You think you're resting, but you're rotten. Procrastination isn't harmless. It's the slow death of men with potential. Laziness isn't a break, it's betrayal. And that dopamine rush, that hit from the screen, not pleasure, it's poison. You want clarity? Starve the noise. You want power? Kill the cravings. Dopamine detox isn't a trend, it's war. And the battlefield is your brain. You're not overwhelmed, you're under-disciplined. You're not lost, you're distracted. You're not burnt out, you're addicted to comfort. And deep down, you know it. You know that every single time you say, I'll do it later, you're not delaying the task, you're delaying your life. You're willingly handing over your future in exchange for 10 more minutes of numb, worthless pleasure. You stare at your screen like a lab rat pushing a dopamine button, convincing yourself it's harmless. But every scroll, every meaningless click is you pushing your purpose further away and wondering why you feel empty. You are not a victim of the system. You are its most obedient servant. You choose the cage. You wrap the chains around your own neck every single day. The moment you hit snooze, the moment you delay the workout, the moment you silence the voice that tells you to be better. Laziness isn't peace, it's pain in slow motion. It's that gut-wrenching guilt that shows up the moment the screen turns black. It's the mental fog, the soul-deep ache of knowing you're built for more, but watching yourself rot in the name of rest. Your body was designed to move. Your mind was built for conquest, but you've trained it to chase ease. You made a ritual out of avoidance. You've gotten so used to suppressing your potential that now discomfort feels dangerous, discipline feels like punishment, and the worst part? You think this is normal. You think everyone lives like this. But that's the problem. Most people are dead while breathing. You see, a man who chooses comfort over growth isn't living. He's just dying slower than most. And yet, there's a part of you, a small fire buried beneath the noise, screaming to be reignited. It's that voice that whispers when everything's quiet. It says, we were meant for more. But you silence it with another scroll, another snack, another excuse. The world has you believing that motivation is something you wait for, that inspiration will strike when the stars align. That's nonsense. Discipline is the fire you build in hell. You don't wait for it. You create it. You forge it in discomfort, in silence, in resistance. The men who win in this world aren't the ones who had it easier. They're the ones who became monsters in the face of resistance. They're the ones who woke up and said, no more. And that's the switch I need you to flip. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because the truth is, you're running out of time. Every second you wait is another version of you that could have been stronger, sharper, more powerful, getting buried under the weight of laziness. You don't need more time. You need urgency. You don't need motivation. You need clarity. You don't need anyone to tell you what to do. You already know. The only question is, will you do it while it's still possible? Or will you wake up one day, look in the mirror, and realize the man you could have become is now just a ghost behind your eye? But here's the beauty buried inside this chaos. You are not stuck. You are not too late. Every moment of discipline, every second of silence, every choice to do the thing you've been avoiding, it sharpens you. It brings you back. You can crawl out of this dopamine prison brick by brick. Start with your mornings. Win the first hour of the day. Reject the urge to check your phone. Stand up, move, breathe, do the thing you know builds you. It'll feel unnatural at first because growth always does. But the pain of change is temporary. The pain of regret, that stays, that haunts. That's the voice that never shuts up. When you understand that laziness is a learned addiction and discipline is a daily rebellion, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop feeding your vices with half-hearted excuses, and you start becoming dangerous again. You begin to feel alive again. That old fire in your chest, it comes back. It roars. It reminds you of who you were before the world beat you down. And every rep, every disciplined hour, every boring, uncomfortable decision, you're reclaiming your throne, slowly, ruthlessly, without apology. Let the others waste their lives chasing comfort. You rise, you sharpen, you suffer with purpose, because the pain of effort is the price of becoming a man they cannot ignore. A man who lives with his chest out, his eyes sharp, mind focused. A man who doesn't flinch when life gets ugly because he's already faced the storm within. You don't need an easier life. You need to become stronger, more focused, more deliberate. And it starts the moment you stop making friends with laziness and start going to war with it. Every decision is a vote. Cast enough votes for greatness, and soon enough, mediocrity has no place in your kingdom. Let me tell you something about the man I used to be. I remember waking up in a small damp apartment, the kind where the walls feel like they're closing in. I wasn't broke because of the world. I was broke because I let myself be weak. I didn't have a bad life. I had bad habits. I used to tell myself I'd do it tomorrow. I had notebooks filled with plans and zero results. I knew I had potential. Everyone says that. But the truth is, potential without discipline is just another word for regret. I'd scroll for hours, chasing cheap dopamine, laughing at nonsense, envying men who were out there building empires while I was wasting my breath pretending to be busy. And then one day, something broke inside me. Not in a bad way, in the best way possible. I looked at myself shirtless in the mirror, not judging the body, but the man, and I asked a single, brutal question. Is this all you've got? That question didn't leave me. It sat on my chest like a boulder. Every meal I skipped for fast food. Every workout I dodged with a lazy excuse. Every time I avoided discomfort, it all flashed before me. I realized I'd been killing myself, slowly, smiling while I did it. Not physically, but spiritually. I wasn't a man, I was a walking contradiction. All bark, no bite. All plans, no execution. And what scared me most? I was becoming the type of man I used to mock. The kind that settles. The kind that fantasizes about greatness, but never sacrifices for it. And in that moment, I made a decision. Not a motivational one, a declaration. Never again. That night, I deleted every distraction. No announcements, no posts, no starting tomorrow. I went ghost. I became obsessed with one idea, becoming undeniable. I started waking up before the sun. My mind screamed at first, my body resisted, but I didn't care. I wasn't looking for comfort. I was hunting freedom. And freedom doesn't come from scrolling on a screen. It comes from owning your hours, from dominating your day before the world wakes up. The first week, hell, every morning felt like war. But every win, no matter how small, started stacking. The discipline wasn't sexy, it wasn't fun, but it built something stronger than motivation. It built identity. You become great by accident, you become great by force, relentless, daily intentional force. People ask me, how do you stay so focused? And the answer is simple. I've already seen what failure tastes like. I've felt the emptiness of an unearned day. I know what it's like to lay in bed with a restless heart because I did nothing to deserve peace, and I vowed I'd never feel that again. The pain of effort is brutal, yes, but the pain of wasted potential is so deep it never goes away. It whispers at night, taunting you, and I chose the pain that builds instead of the one that buries. Now here's the truth they don't tell you. You're not lazy because you're weak. You're lazy because you've forgotten what it feels like to win. You've forgotten how good it feels to walk into a room knowing you kept your word to yourself. It's a power in that, a fire, a confidence no clothing brand, no quote, no amount of likes can replicate. You earn that by showing up, by doing the hard thing when no one's watching, when it's just you, the silence, and the voice in your head that says you can quit. And you reply, not today. When I started this journey, I had no map, no guide, just hunger. But that hunger saved me. It pulled me out of the mental fog and into war. And in war, you don't negotiate, you train. You show up broken, you show up tired, but you show up. You become the kind of man who looks laziness in the face and says, try me. And it's not about perfection, it's about momentum. Stack enough wins and suddenly you're no longer chasing motivation. You're running on purpose. Purpose doesn't need dopamine. Purpose doesn't need applause. Purpose walks alone. Like if I can do it, you can too. You have to stop lying to yourself. Stop romanticizing the grind and start respecting it. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's brutal. It's repetitive. It's boring. But it works. And the moment you understand that, you stop waiting for your life to change and you start changing it, one decision at a time. You start becoming a man the world can't ignore. A man whose presence speaks before he opens his mouth. And the foundation of that man is built in silence, forged in sacrifice, and sharpened through repetition. I wasn't born focused. I built focus by starving distractions. I wasn't gifted with strength. I became strong by embracing resistance. And you've got everything it takes. You just need to remember who you are, not the version dulled by dopamine, not the one weakened by comfort. I'm talking about the primal, driven, untamed version of you, buried beneath the noise. That man is waiting, and the only way to meet him is to suffer with purpose, to move without feeling like it, to act without validation. It's time to stop watching men become legends and start becoming one. There's a clock ticking above your head, and you pretend not to hear it. You think you've got time. That's the biggest illusion modern men live under, the luxury of delay. You convince yourself you'll start Monday, next month, next year. But let me break the fantasy for you. There is no later. Every second you waste is a second you never get back. Time is the only currency you can't earn more of. You're spending your life like it's a trial version, waiting for the full game to unlock. Wake up. This is it. This is the game, and you're already behind. There are men right now, while you're scrolling, who are outworking you in silence. They're not louder than you. They're not better than you, but they're hungrier. Hungrier for change. Hungrier for freedom. Hungrier for the version of themselves they promised they'd become. And you're sitting there, sedated by comfort, fed by lies, and distracted by devices designed to steal your attention and drain your soul. Every time you pick pleasure over progress, to choose slavery, not the kind with chains, but the kind with invisible shackles, tied to your own habits. That's how empires fall, from the inside out. Fear is a tool. Use it. Be terrified of mediocrity. Be horrified at the thought of dying as a man who never became what he could have been. The graveyard is full of men who had dreams, ambition, talent, but they were soft where it mattered most, mentally. They feared failure more than regret, and regret, that's the slowest form of death. It doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps in at night when no one's around and whispers, you could have done more. And that whisper will haunt you for the rest of your life if you don't move now. Every dopamine hit you chase is a leash around your neck. Do you understand that? You've been conditioned to need stimulation like a drug addict needs his fix. But kings, real kings, aren't stimulated. They're focused. They don't need motivation. They don't need another coffee. They don't need to feel like it. They've outgrown the emotional weakness that comes with waiting to be inspired. They don't live by feeling. They live by principles. They do what must be done, especially when it's hard. That's where strength is forged. Not in ease, but in the furnace of self-denial. You want to rise? Then kill the man you are today, because the current you is in the way. You're not depressed, you're distracted, you're not broken, you're undisciplined. Your life isn't falling apart, it's just reflecting the choices you make when no one's watching. And that's what makes or breaks a man. Not his talk, but his rituals. It's war against comfort. His ability to say no when everything in him screams yes. That's masculinity. That's sovereignty. That's the battle every man must fight alone. And most lose, not because they weren't capable, but because they weren't willing. Willing to suffer, willing to delay gratification, willing to look like a lunatic for saying no to what every weak man indulges in. You've been operating at 30% of your potential and still hoping for elite level results. That's like eating junk food and expecting a chiseled body. Life doesn't work like that. You get exactly what you earn. And if you don't like what you have, it's because you haven't earned more. That's not harsh. It's honest. And in that honesty is your salvation. Because the moment you accept that everything is your fault, everything becomes your responsibility, that's the moment you reclaim your power. No more blaming, no more whining, no more praying for easy. You rise by enduring what others avoid. You become elite by choosing pain when comfort's available. People will try to tell you to slow down. They'll mock your discipline. They'll try to drag you back to their level. Misery loves company, but discipline terrifies the lazy. It's a mirror to their failure. So be that mirror. Walk into rooms and remind people of what they could. Let your actions burn their excuses, not with words, but with proof, with power, with presence. And to do that, you must become dangerous. Dangerous to your vices, dangerous to your comfort, dangerous to your past self. This world doesn't care about your potential. It only responds to execution. You want results? Then stop negotiating with your mind. Stop asking yourself how you feel and start commanding yourself to move. That's how legacies are built. That's how boys become men. Not through quotes, not through dreams, but through war. A daily war against ease, against distractions, against mediocrity. And if you think you can win that war with half effort and half focus, you've already lost. You want to build an empire? Then act like a man worthy of one. That means killing off the version of yourself that settles, that hesitates, that needs to be entertained to function. You don't need another reminder. You need to move fast because the window is closing and the clock, my friend, is still ticking. There comes a point in every man's life when he has to stop hiding behind excuses and face the battlefield of reality. You either conquer yourself or become a slave to your own weakness. Every day, the world tests you, not with grand obstacles, but with small seductive comforts. It whispers, you've done enough when you've barely started. It tells you, rest now when your soul is still starving. That's the trap. That's the soft death. A little rest turns into apathy. A little break becomes inertia. And before you know it, the fire in you fades. Not because you didn't have greatness, but because you gave yourself permission to stay average. We need to understand something. Life does not reward the comfortable. Never has. It rewards the obsessive, the relentless, the man who is willing to suffer while others search for ease. Because comfort is the enemy of growth. The minute you start chasing pleasure, you start losing power. The dopamine loop they brought you in, it's not entertainment, it's imprisonment. A man who can't sit in silence without reaching for a screen is not free. He's a puppet pulled by invisible strings. And the moment you cut those strings, when you unplug, when you detox, when you reclaim your attention, that's when you become lethal. Not just to others, but to every version of yourself that tried to pull you down. You think success is complicated. It's not. It's war. A psychological war between the version of you that's dying to evolve and the version of you that wants to stay the same. One wants to stay in bed, the other wants to build empire. And they both live inside you. Every decision is a vote. Every action feeds one side. Right? Manifestation. There are men out there living the life you dream of, and they're not smarter. They're not luckier. They're not chosen. They're just more disciplined. They've chosen the pain of growth over the pleasure of stagnation. And now they walk like gods in a world of sheep. That's available to you. But not if you keep flirting with comfort. Not if you keep escaping from the one man you're supposed to master, yourself. Because the harsh truth is this. The man who wins is the one who suffers the most with purpose. Pain is not your enemy. It's your ally. It carves you into something indestructible. Every hardship, every failure, every lonely night, it's all shaping you or breaking you. And that outcome, that's on you. No one's coming to rescue you. There is no savior, no mentor, no course, no guru is going to save you from the prison you've built with your own choices. You want out? You got to break the chain yourself. You want power? You want legacy? Then understand this. You don't rise by motivation. You rise by execution. And execution requires sacrifice. It means killing your old habits. It means choosing discipline over dopamine. It means turning pain into fuel. That's what elite men do. They turn silence into strategy, suffering into strength, pressure into precision. You don't need more time, you need more intensity. You don't need a new plan, you need more hunger. The blueprint for success has always been the same. Wake up early, train like a savage, work like a machine, stay sharp, and never fold. It's boring, it's repetitive, and that's exactly why it works. Weak men chase excitement. Strong men fall in love with repetition. They master the mundane. They do what needs to be done, not because it's fun, but because it's necessary. They don't hope things change, they make things move. They don't manifest, they become them. You want freedom? Then earn it. Earn it by waking up before the sun. Earn it by lifting when your body says stop. Earn it by pushing past the mental noise, the cravings, the voices that tell you to quit. Because every time you ignore those voices, you kill the weakness inside you. And that is what makes you dangerous. That is what makes you free. When the world looks at you, they shouldn't see a boy still chasing pleasure. They should see a man who's built from fire, ruthless, focused, unshakable. A man who suffered, endured, evolved, and now stands above it all. That's not a fantasy. That's what you become when you stop lying to yourself, when you stop waiting, when you stop allowing your brain to betray you with comfort and dopamine. You don't need motivation. You need rage. Rage at the life you could have lived. Rage at the time you wasted. Rage at every opportunity you let slip. Because you are too tired, too distracted, too soft. Channel that rage, use it. Turn it into discipline, into energy, into action. Do not let this world soften you. You were not born to be passive. You were not made to consume and scroll and fade. You were designed to conquer, to build, to create. But first, you must destroy. Destroy the patterns, destroy the weakness, destroy the idea that it's okay to coast. You've coasted long enough. Now it's time to accelerate. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because the clock doesn't stop, and neither does greatness. Now that you've seen the battlefield, you have two choices. You either step into the arena and fight like a warrior for your future, or you sit on the sidelines and rot like a forgotten soul. This is not philosophy. This is not inspiration. This is instruction. This is the operating system of greatness. You want the throne? Then stop acting like a servant. The world doesn't hand crowns to the hesitant. It crowns the relentless. The men who show up broken and tired, but still refuse to break. The ones who are exhausted, but still lace up their boots and show up like machines because they've made a decision. They will not die average. You wasted enough time, all those hours, scrolling, numbing, distracting yourself with nothingness. They don't just disappear, they compound into regret, into mediocrity, into a version of yourself you look back on and despise. But here's the beauty. You are still breathing. That means there is still time. But don't you dare misunderstand. There is time, yes, but not much, and certainly not forever. The man who thinks he has time is already dead. The clock is your enemy, and every second it ticks, your window of power closes. The question is, will you sprint through it, or will you wait until it's shut forever? You are capable of things far beyond what you've shown the world. There is a monster inside you that's never tasted blood, and he's starving. You've been tranquilized by pleasure, sedated by society, convinced that comfort is success, but deep down, you know the truth. It's all a lie. True power doesn't feel good. It feels heavy. It feels lonely. It feels like sacrifice. But it's in that fire that legends are forged. And as you can survive the furnace, you don't just get stronger. You become untouchable. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. The pain you feel, use it. The shame that haunts you, convert it. The laziness that's been choking you, kill it. You need to start building now, brick by brick, inch by inch, because there is no rescue mission, there is no miracle coming. The man who saves you is the man you become. Every action you take from this moment forward is casting a vote for who you're choosing to be. You want to be a king? Then build a kingdom. You want to be a weapon? Then sharpen yourself daily. You want to be free? Then earn that freedom with action, not affirmation. Understand this. You will suffer either way. You will suffer from the discipline it takes to rise, or you will suffer from the regret that buries those who never tried. One is temporary, the other is eternal. That's your deal with life. That's the price of glory. The man who embraces suffering becomes immortal in a world full of cowards. The man who avoids it becomes invisible. And there is no worse fate than being forgotten. The road ahead is brutal. You'll bleed, you'll fall, you'll question yourself, but if you stay in the fight, if you keep pushing when your body screams and your mind begs for relief, you'll look back and realize you became the kind of man they write about, the kind of man who changed his lineage forever, who broke generational weakness, who rose from average and became something divine. That man is not born, he is built. Through repetition, through pain, through ruthless self-discipline. That man is forged when the world sleeps and he trains. When others rest and he builds. When they party and he plans. He doesn't need validation. He is his own judge, jury, and executioner. So this is the order, not a suggestion, not advice, an order. Stand up, fix your posture, delete the apps, wake up before the sun, lift something heavy, sweat until you forget weakness, read books that make your mind lethal, stop eating like a child, train like your future depends on it, because it does. Cut the noise, block the distractions, ignore the opinions of soft men. They're not living your life. They don't bleed when you fail, so why would you listen when they tell you to slow down? The only voice you follow now is the one inside you screaming more focus, more pain, more pressure, more precision. This is not about balance, it's about domination. Because the time for balance was when you were safe, but you are at war now. And in war, you don't seek comfort, you seek victory. Every hour is a weapon. Every decision is a bullet. Every action is a strike against the man you used to be. And if you string enough of those together, something magical happens. You change. Not slowly, not incrementally, but violently, radically, permanently. Rise. Rise now. Rise before it's too late. Before your potential decays into a story no one remembers. Before your greatness becomes a memory of what could have been. You were not born to be silent. You were not meant to be small. You were designed to conquer, to lead, to rise from the ashes of your weakness and become a living testament to what's possible when a man finally wakes the hell up and takes control. This is your final warning. Your legacy begins the second you stop making excuses and start making moves. So go, be relentless, be savage, be legendary.